What is up guys, my name is Anisha and welcome to a new video, and today we will be talking about lenses, and specifically what lens you should get for portrait photography. Now when it comes to portrait photography, I have seen many photographers use, some use prime lens, some use telephoto, some use both. But when you see both the lenses, they do the same thing. They blur out the background very strongly and they put the tack focus on your face. So that is what portrait photography is, and both the lenses do the exact same thing but using different method. So that is what I want to touch in this topic. I'll be showing you the lenses what I have, both prime and telephoto. I'll be talking about the pros and cons, and I'll show you some examples as well so that you can decide what lens you should go for. But first we will be talking about the telephoto lens. So the lens that I have been using is the Canon 55 to 250 mm. As I said, that both prime and telephoto do the exact same thing. They blur out the background, but I'll be talking about the pros and cons of this lens, and then we'll head over to prime. Now the biggest pro on this lens is that it can zoom. Definitely, that is why it's a telephoto lens, and I really like it. The compression that it gives on 250 mm, I'll show you an example later. The compression is super awesome. It actually creates a new perspective when someone sees that image. It's really incredible. Now with that compression comes with blurry background, so you will be getting much more nice image so that people can focus on the subject, on the person, not on the background. So that is why I love this lens, because of its compression, and since it is 250 mm, it has built-in stabilization, so that is a huge win for this. Since it's a kit lens, so that's why almost every kit lens has stabilization, so that's a win. But one downside, that it has an f4 to 5.6. so if you are on 55 you have f4, but once you go to 250 you have 5.6. so that means it's not a fast aperture. You cannot shoot with this lens in low light. And if you're thinking to buy the 70 to 200 L version, you guys know the L series lenses are way expensive with a faster aperture. So 70 to 200 f2.8 is a best lens. It's a dope lens. It has a very wide aperture f2.8, but it's very costly. It is so costly that, especially if you live in India, it just breaks your bank. Now talking about the compression, here is an example of 55 mm. You can see it is very great. It has a very nice blurry background. You can see at the back that there's a water tank, but when I zoom in completely to 250, you can see that the water tank is completely disappeared, and you can use this compression as your advantage. If you don't want something to come in your frame, you can just zoom in completely, just go back and click the photo. Now you might notice the shift of the brightness from f4 to 5.6. so that is one of the biggest drawback of this lens, that once you zoom into 250 you will be getting an f5.6, which is very bad. I don't really like the small aperture in this, but still you can take dope images, dope photos, dope portraits with this lens in daylight, as you guys saw already. One of the biggest downside for me personally is it's very heavy. It is heavy, and especially when you attach with the body. So yeah, when you attach with the body, it is very big, it is very huge, and it becomes very heavy as well. So what to do now? And if you shoot continuously for like 1 hour, 2 hours, which I think is very impractical, this lens can be very stressful for your hand. So if you want a little bit smaller package than this, but you want the same performance as this lens, you can use this 50 mm prime. Now this is a Nikon 50 mm prime. It has an aperture f1.8. You get the same specs for the Canon as well. So I have both the lenses, even for the telephoto, down link in the description below, so that once you watch this video and you're done with it, you can just go directly to the link and go to Amazon and buy. You don't have to like Amazon. The biggest pro of this lens, that it has an aperture of f1.8. so that is a huge win for this. Look at the aperture. Just look at it. It is so big, it is so wide that you can just, I just want to eat it. Like, open this and now you guys know with such a fast aperture, it can take brilliant images with lower ISO in low light situation. So I took few of the photos with this during low light, and I used an ISO 400 max or maybe 800 max when we have only one light, like only one street light or anything like that. This lens is awesome for that. Now the way this lens makes the background blurry is because of that wide fast aperture. This lens makes that blurry background because of the focal length. So you can see they are doing the same thing, but they are completely different. Now the compression rate on the background for this lens is not that great, since it's 50 mm, and since you cannot zoom, that is the biggest con on this lens. So you have to buy different lenses like 35 or 85 or 100, and that could be even more pricey as well. But if you are getting this lens alone, this lens is very cheap. And yes please, it does have a rubber ring, so if you have a body which is already water resistant, adding this lens on it can make your camera weather resistant, and you can even shoot during rain or anything like that. I wouldn't recommend using a cheaper body with this lens during rain, and it's not safe. But you can see there is one switch missing other than this focus, and that is the stabilization. You don't have stabilization with this lens, but if you are using such a faster aperture, you can just crank up that shutter speed super fast and you can just take photos, and you don't need stabilization when you're using such a fast shutter speed. And yes, like I mentioned, that this lens has a different compression rate compared to 250 mm, so obviously you need to get different lenses if you need different compression rate. Now the form factor with this lens attached to the camera is very small, since you can see that this lens is very small, and even if you attach this lens on the camera is still very small and very lightweight, so you can shoot for hours and hours and don't worry about the light and anything. You can just shoot and shoot and shoot and have a good time. So in conclusion, I would say this lens is day, this lens is night. There is a day and night difference between each of these lenses. They do both the same thing, blurring the background very nicely, but still they use very different methods. But since I have seen people taking portraits even with the telephoto lens and even with the prime lens, I thought to make this video and clear out any confusion. So even if you have seen the samples as well, so I think you should not have any confusion after watching this video. And if you have, let me know in the comments below, or just come and say hi. Alright. And a little update that from now I will be using this lens as my primary lens on the camera for my next videos. So that's it for me guys. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope this video was helpful for you. Make sure you hit the like button and click that red subscribe button and make it into gray, and click the bell icon as well so that you don't miss any of my videos. And I hope you'll have a great time more and more. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video with the new lens attached on the camera. Peace.